I don't care what anyone says, the PlayStation 1 is the coolest console ever made. It's full of weird, experimental, and just simply awesome games that I keep coming back to even today. But let's be honest, the PS1 wasn't exactly known for its first-person shooters, mostly thanks to the clunky controls. Most people didn't even bother with FPS games and just stuck to the classics, like Crash Bandicoot, Ape Escape, Final Fantasy, or Metal Gear Solid. And honestly, I can't blame them, because I was one of those people as well. That's exactly why I started this journey. I'm plunging straight into the rabbit hole of PS1 shooters. My goal is to play and talk about every single FPS on the system, whether they are great, terrible, or just unbelievably strange. If you haven't seen the first 2 episodes of this series, I would recommend starting with those. And just a quick reminder, I'm not including any of the vehicle-based shooters in this series, like Descent. They will get their own videos in the future, don't worry. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get started. First, we have Krazy Ivan. In the second episode, I talked about a studio called Psygnosis. These guys developed and published hundreds of games around the 90s. Insane. And this game is one of them. And man, I love Krazy Ivan. In this game, we play as Ivan Popovich, a Russian soldier who's piloting this giant mech suit. The game kicks off with an intro cutscene, and hell yeah, it's live action. You guys already know I have this weird obsession for live action cutscenes, so this game immediately got me. Oh, and check out that accent.
Our ETA at launch coordinates is...
That's close enough. Initialize launch procedure.
Chef's kiss. Ivan is being transported in the back while having a blast. But of course, he gets bored and wants to bail.
I've been cooped up in this sardine can for 7 hours now. I'm bored.
Yeah, I think I know why they call him Krazy. Once we get out, it's time to kick some ass. Specifically, alien robot ass. These enemies are called sentients. We have to hunt them down all around the world. Russia, France, the US, and even Japan. Each zone has a handful of sentients, usually 3 or 4, plus a lot of smaller enemies scattered around. The smaller ones usually go down quite easily, but the sentients are much tougher. Every sentient fight needs a different approach. Some of them are sneaky, others are fast, and a few are just absolute tanks. But don't worry, our charming comrade always gives us a quick tip before each battle.
Codename Deadlock. Sounds ominous, but he won't be winning any IQ tests.
I love this lady, she's so charming. Once we've taken them all out, there is still a generator that we need to destroy before moving on to the next location. Once we finish the mission, it's time to upgrade our mech. We can carry 5 main weapons, like a machine gun, a laser cannon, a plasma beam, and all the good stuff. As you can see, there is a lot of stuff to spend our money on. I'm pretty sure I could replay this game a few times just to try out all the loadouts. When we are done with the upgrades, we always get a cutscene before the new area. I know I've said it like 100 times before, but these cheesy live-action cutscenes are something I genuinely miss from the 90s.
We are an extremely wealthy family. If you were to make the rescue your first priority, you would find us extremely generous.
I'm a professional soldier, Mr. Lally. How generous?
So yeah, that's pretty much Krazy Ivan. I'm not sure if I love this game more for the gameplay or for the humor. Probably a bit of both. It's crazy, pun intended, that I never once felt for a second that Krazy Ivan was boring. Every sentient is different, and each fight felt like a true boss. I have to say, some of them actually made me sweat, like the tiger guy. Oh, and I don't say this often for PS1 games, but the controls are actually great. It's easy to aim, there is a dash to each side, and once you get used to it, you will be on the move non-stop, and it feels pretty amazing. The only downside of the game is the environment, really. Levels and arenas are mostly flat, and there is not much to see. I wish they added a bit more stuff in there. Still, I think Krazy Ivan's concept is pretty unique and absolutely worth checking out, even if it's just for the cutscenes and the goofy acting. My recommendation is to play 1 or 2 zones at a time, so you don't get burned out. Oh, and a pro tip, don't ignore the small enemies either, because they can refill your ammo and health. Very important. I'm giving Krazy Ivan a solid 9 Ivans out of 10. Really nice. I got a new favorite. Next, our second game today is Star Wars Dark Forces. This game is straight out of the golden age of LucasArts. It's also one of the earlier PS1 titles from 1996. The story kicks off just before the first Star Wars movie. The rebels have learned about the Empire's Death Star, but they still need to get their hands on the plans to find its weakness. Since they cannot do that themselves, they hire a mercenary named Kyle Katarn. Yeah, that's gonna be us. Our first mission is classic Star Wars stuff. We break into an Imperial base, start blasting, steal the plans, and get the hell out. Easy. And yeah, what you see is what you get. This is the game. As I mentioned, we are still in 96, so don't expect any fancy or groundbreaking mechanics. Dark Forces uses the usual recipe: shoot everything that moves, hunt for colored keys, open doors, and try to stay alive. That said, it does do a few things other shooters back then didn't. For example, we can actually look up and down. Believe it or not, this was a huge thing back then. And trust me, you will use that a lot, because the levels are ridiculously vertical. Secret passages, multi-level rooms, elevators everywhere. It's mind-blowing. Some of the maps are almost like a maze, which is fun on PC but can get a little annoying on the PS1. The lower frame rate and limited draw distance made me get lost so many times. I'm not gonna lie, I actually crashed out a few times. Still, there is something I really love about that complexity. You know, that classic I'm lost in a dangerous place vibe that fits Star Wars perfectly. Anyway, back to the story. After the first mission, the Death Star gets blown up. Hooray! I guess. But there is no rest for the rebels. Only a year later, the Empire starts cooking again, and they come up with a new threat: the Dark Trooper Project. They are building heavily armed battle droids and Giga-Chet stormtroopers. Let me tell you, these guys make the regular ones look like Paul Blart. And yeah, this is the main conflict of the game. We need to help the rebellion fight back the Empire through different missions. Each level has its own briefing, with a little backstory and objectives. These are super handy, honestly. Okay, fine, I will just say it. This game has everything a Star Wars fan needs from a game. First, let's talk about the locations. Dark Forces absolutely nails the vibe. We will visit places like Nar Shaddaa, the Smuggler's Moon, Jabba's ship, Imperial bases, and more and more. Each level feels unique, and they have just enough detail that you wouldn't expect from a 96 shooter. The enemies are just as awesome. We will fight regular stormtroopers, probe droids, those crazy dark troopers, and even Boba Fett himself. Come on, how cool is that? Dark Forces is a game that every Star Wars fan should play, period. Yeah, I admit, the gameplay can be a bit repetitive after a while, but it's so packed with Star Wars atmosphere that I just didn't care. I mean, just listen to this for a second.
You're not authorized in this area.
By the way, Night Dive Studios did a full remaster in 2024, and I highly recommend playing that version if you can. The PS1 version is fine if you want the retro vibe, but the frame rate is a bit choppy, and overall the remaster is just a better experience. Still, I'm giving Dark Forces 8 Dark Troopers out of 10. I had to take a point off for the PS1 version because of the controls and the FPS drops, but I honestly think this game is amazing. It's also a nice little throwback to the good old times, when LucasArts still existed and the franchise was just better. Oh, and I found an article about how this game predicted the future Star Wars shows and movies. Pretty cool. I will leave a link in the description. Next, in the first episode, we had a look at Jumping Flash. Jumping Flash is a super fun, super challenging game that everyone should try at least once. And in the second, Jumping Flash 2, which was even better than the first game. And here I was, thinking thinking that Jumping Flash 2 was the end of the series. Oh, I was so wrong. Thanks to you guys, I learned that there is actually another one, Robbit mon Dieu, or as I like to call it, Jumping Flash 3. Sorry, but I suck at French. Unfortunately, this one only came out in Japan, so I didn't really understand a thing about the story. Gameplay-wise though, not much has changed. We are still playing as Robbit, the mechanical rabbit who can jump insanely high and fire rockets, because why not? But this time, instead of just collecting jet pods or moo-moos, each level has its own unique objective. We might have to take out a set number of ghosts, win a race, free water from the ground, and the list goes on. Honestly, I think this is a fantastic idea. It completely shakes up the gameplay, and I never once felt for a second that it was repetitive. The visuals also got a little upgrade. Everything feels more polished, and there are some great new level themes, like that spooky graveyard. I just simply love that. I was also surprised to see that they added an in-game currency called Kiwi. We can spend this on, well, I don't know because it's in Japanese, but I found out that this little robot is basically a vending machine. Come on, that's cool. I think the story is a lot more complex this time. There are a lot of cutscenes and even newspapers. I just wish I could understand what's going on. Hopefully there is a fan-made translation or something. I have to check. Or I guess I will keep learning Japanese and maybe understand it in, I don't know, 10 years? The music is once again perfect. These games always deliver such bangers. There is not much else to say, really. If you enjoyed the first two games, you will absolutely love this one. I would happily call this my favorite Jumping Flash game, if only I could understand it better. Still, I'm gonna give it 8 spooky ghosts out of 10. Awesome. Next, I don't think I have to introduce the Tom Clancy games to anyone. You know, Splinter Cell, Ghost Recon, and of course the most famous of them all, Rainbow Six. The series kicked off in 1998, shortly after Tom Clancy, the writer, co-founded a video game company called Red Storm Entertainment in 96. Of course, Ubisoft ended up buying them in 2000, but the franchise lived on, and Rainbow Six Siege is still one of the most popular games even in 2025. The first Rainbow Six game originally launched on Windows, N64, and of course the PS1. This was one of the few FPS games on the PS1 that I actually played back in the day. But man, it took me a while to get into it. Most shooters around that time were still all about running and gunning, but Rainbow Six? Haha, it was the exact opposite. This game is all about tactical gameplay, taking it slow, checking corners, conserving ammo, but hold on. I'm getting ahead of myself. The game has a very simple story. We are in 1999 and terrorism is flourishing all around the world. An international counter-terrorist unit called Rainbow is founded to fight these threats. That's it, really. I hope you could follow. Each mission, or operation as the game calls it, set in a different location. And there is actually a ton of variety here. We will visit the rainy London, a theme park in Barcelona, an oil rig in the North Sea, which is one of my favorite locations, by the way, and I could go on. There are 14 operations in total, which is not bad if you ask me. Before each mission, we get a surprisingly detailed briefing with intel about the people involved, organizations, and whatever you can imagine, it's probably here. And I genuinely love this. I'm a guy who really enjoys lore-related stuff, so I usually read through all this before starting the operation. Next, we get to build our team. We will always have 3 operators, and each has different stats. Some have more health but suck at sneaking, while others are better for quiet approaches. We have to find a good balance. And listen to this. We can even choose their loadouts. This is hands down my favorite part. Go loud with shotguns or stay stealthy with silenced MP5. It's all up to us, and I love it. Once we've set everything up, we choose where to deploy the team, and then finally, lock and load. And yeah, this is how the game looks. We can switch between the 3 characters throughout the mission. The goal is to move through the level, take down enemies, and eventually complete the objectives. The fact that we can choose different operators and weapons means we get to experiment with all kind of strategies. We can go full Rambo with a shotgun, or take it slow, clearing rooms with silenced weapons. It's not all that different from Rainbow Six Siege if you think about it. Holding angles, peeking carefully, trying not to alert the whole building, it's honestly amazing. And these guys are less accurate if they move while shooting. That's such a cool attention to detail. The missions also give us real objectives, like freeing hostages, defusing bombs, that kind of thing. It's not just mindless shooting. Oh, and we really have to watch the team's health. If they are wounded, we have to switch them out for someone else. Come on, you have to admit, that's pretty nice. This all sounds too good to be true, right? Well, of course there is a downside. The PS1 version definitely has some issues. It's generally considered worse than the other versions in terms of graphics, controls, and even content. And yeah, I can see why people say that. The controls are awful, I'm not gonna lie. It's hard to explain why it's bad. You just have to experience it. Like, the whole thing feels unorganic, like how a robot would move its head. It actually gave me motion sickness a few times, so I only played in short periods. But to be fair, most PS1 shooters had pretty janky controls anyway, so it's hard to single this one out. For what it's worth, PlayStation Magazine gave it 1 star out of 5. I mean, come on, that's a bit harsh, don't you think? I do wish there were more operations though. Turns out the Dreamcast version had 21 missions. Damn, you lucky bastards. Maybe it's just nostalgia, but even today I really enjoy Rainbow Six on the PS1. Planning out different tactics for each mission was so satisfying, and the whole thing felt genuinely immersive. And every time I cleared a mission, it felt awesome, like I actually accomplished something, saving all those innocent people. Don't get me wrong, the game is not perfect. The controls can be rough and the AI can be hilariously dumb sometimes. Oh, someone shot my friend around the corner. Better go stand right there and check it out. But you know what? Say what you want. I think Rainbow Six was ahead of its time. It laid out the foundation for so many tactical shooters that came after. Just a pro tip, if you ever try this game, make sure to not play on easy. It's just too easy. I'm giving Rainbow Six 7 Tom Clancy's out of 10. I'm sorry, but I have to take a point off for the controls. And that's all I had for today. This was a pretty strong lineup, if you ask me. I'm especially glad that I found Krazy Ivan. I think that's gonna be a new favorite in my PS1 collection. But what do you think about these games? Have you ever played them? Let me know in the comments. I love reading your experiences with these older games. And if you like this kind of content, please consider dropping a like or subscribing. I would really appreciate it. And if you want to have a chat or play some games with us, join our Discord. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye.